Welcome to this explainer. Okay, we're jumping right into things today because we've got a seriously critical, literally life-saving topic to cover. We are unpacking a comprehensive guide to working safely at heights, put together by Supervisor Ali Al-Jadada. Look, if your job takes you anywhere off the ground, you already know that gravity, it never takes a day off. So we're going to break down the exact regulations, the systems, and the structural safety rules you absolutely must have dialed in before your boots ever leave the floor. So what's the true cost of gravity on a job site? It's a pretty heavy thought, right? Falls from heights are still one of the absolute biggest causes of serious accidents in the industry. But here's the mindset shift we need. The regulations we're looking at today, they are not just bureaucratic red tape meant to slow you down. They are a literal suit of armor against the terrifying reality of a workplace fall. This is the math that keeps you alive. We're taking a ground-up approach today. First up, the WA permit system. Second, scaffolding integrity rules. Third, safe ladder procedures. And finally, personal fall protection systems.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the WA permit system.
Okay, think about the work at height permit, the WAH. It's strictly classified as a secondary document, meaning it absolutely cannot exist on its own. It always has to be attached to a primary permit, like a PTW, an LOA, or an SFT. If the primary permit is the engine running the whole job, the WH permit is the mandatory seatbelt you have to wear while the engine is on. You can't just casually decide to go work up high. It requires formal authorization, a real assessment, and complete clarity on the site. And here's the real kicker about the timeline. The lifespan of a WA permit is totally dependent on that primary document. Its validity strictly matches or is less than the primary permit. The very second that primary permit expires, boom! Your authorization to be off the ground completely vanishes. The site gets cleared, tools come down, and everyone gets back to earth.
But way before anyone even signs that paperwork, you have to do a rigorous site risk assessment. We're actively hunting down hazards here. We're talking potential falls, sure, but also the danger of falling tools, hitting whoever's walking below, changing weather, making things slippery, and, this is a big one, live overhead power lines. And I want you to burn this specific number into your brain. You must maintain a strict minimum clearance of 10 feet from any live power lines. 10 feet, period.
Moving right along to Section 2, scaffolding integrity rules. You have to treat every single piece of scaffolding like an engineered building because the dimensions are totally non-negotiable. First off, a scaffold has to support 4 times its maximum intended load without flipping over. Let me say that again, 4 times the weight. Then you've got the guardrails, mandatory. Top rails sit at exactly 42 inches high, mid rails block the middle gap, and toe boards sit right at the base. And no, toe boards aren't for resting your feet. They are there to stop a dropped wrench from becoming a deadly meteor to the crew working below you. But listen, even the most flawlessly built scaffold isn't invincible. It needs daily inspections. A designated competent person absolutely must run through a scaff tag inspection every single day before boots hit the platform. They're checking the bracing, testing the wheels and brakes if it's mobile, making sure the ground hasn't shifted. Basically, if it hasn't been officially inspected today, it's not a safe workspace. Scratch that, it's not a workspace at all. All right, ascending to Section 3, safe ladder procedures. Have you ever thought about the actual literal math of climbing a ladder? Setting one up isn't a guessing game. It is a precise mathematical formula. People treat ladders like simple everyday tools, and they are for short-duration stuff, but your life literally hangs on getting the geometry right. So let's talk about the 4-to-1 angle rule. It's super simple, but absolutely crucial. For every 4 feet of height you need to reach, the base of the ladder has to sit exactly 1 foot away from the wall. So reaching a 12-foot landing, the base gets kicked out 3 feet. Make sense? Plus, if you're using that ladder to access a landing, the top rails have to extend at least 3 feet, that's 36 inches, above the landing area. You tie off the top, tie off the bottom so it doesn't kick out, and you trust the math. Now, the golden rule of actually climbing that geometry comes down to just one number: 3. You've got to maintain 3 points of contact on that ladder at all times. 2 feet in one hand or 2 hands in 1 foot. The absolute second you let go of that third point of contact, you're basically just handing your stability right over to gravity. Don't do it.
And finally, we've made it to Section 4, personal fall protection systems.
The game completely changes the absolute second your boots hit 1.8 meters. That's just about 6 feet off the ground. At that height, fall protection goes from a good idea to strictly mandatory. When you can't use guardrails and you're in an open environment, your personal gear becomes your literal last line of defense. If there is even a chance of taking a fall from 1.8 meters, you are strapping on an approved full-body harness and getting your fall risk controls sorted out.
Now there are two different ways to handle this. Think about a travel restraint system versus a personal fall arrest system. A travel restraint is basically like a short leash. It's physically designed to completely stop you from even reaching the edge. But a fall arrest system? That's what you wear when you're doing a job where a fall could actually happen. If you slip, this system is engineered to catch you mid-air. It combines the body harness, the anchor, and a shock-absorbing lanyard so that your free fall distance is super short, and the violent jolt of stopping doesn't exceed 1,800 pounds of force on your body.
But here is the absolute most important thing to understand about a fall arrest system. That fancy full-body harness is completely useless if the thing you tie it to snaps. Your lifeline has to be clipped to an independent, certified anchor point. And that anchor point must be able to support a mind-bending 5,000 pounds per person attached to it. 5,000 pounds. That's the sheer force a falling human body generates. To put that in perspective, if your anchor point couldn't hold up a heavy pickup truck, you cannot trust it to save your life.
Well, we have covered a massive amount of crucial ground today, all drawn directly from Supervisor Ali El-Jaddah's comprehensive guidelines. We started with those dependent WA permits, talked about scaffolds holding 4 times their weight, broke down the 4-to-1 ladder geometry, and climbed all the way up to the 1.8-meter harness rule and those massive 5,000-pound anchor points. So I'm going to leave you with one final thought. Will you remember the numbers that could literally save your life on the site today? Because the math is written in the rule books, but making sure you actually go home tonight, that part is entirely up to you. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. Stay safe out there, respect the geometry, and I will catch you next time.